You're watching special pre-event coverage of the 2026 NADA show exclusively on CBT News.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into a special NADA edition of Driving Solutions here at CBTnews.com. Joining us now is Dave Mondragon, who's the founder and CEO of Autotrust Dealer Alliance, a company designed to help franchise dealers level the playing field through collective purchasing power and shared advantages. Dave, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to join us on the show.
Jim, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Sure, I'm excited to hear about the new company. So with 40 years in the automotive industry, what was the aha moment that made you realize franchise dealers needed Autotrust?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. We're excited to start. We've only been in business for 100 days so far, so we've got a lot of momentum behind us. We're getting ready to get to NADA. The energy behind the business is really about what's that crux in the industry. There's a lot of things the dealers are facing today. Obviously, margin compression is a big issue.
Yeah.
Dealer front-end dealer grosses have dropped from around $2,600 during the height of the chip shortage down to about a little less than $600 today. Dealers have to go back to the fundamentals of blocking and tackling. They're leveraging products like warranty and insurance. And then economies of scale are a big part of the business, and efficiencies. And what I've noticed over the industry over those last 40 years is there's been a massive increase in consolidation. And, it started very small, but the public dealer groups have been in business around 30 years, and they've amassed a very high percent of the industry, and they're buying the big dealers in the main markets. And it creates a competitive disadvantage for the other dealers in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So our solution is, how do we work with those dealers to give them better scale and leverage in the market?
You've seen the industry from really every angle: manufacturer, dealer group operator, executive leadership. What specific problem kept coming up that no one was solving?
Well, it goes back to efficiencies and economies of scale. First, today, the industry is going through quite a few things. I mentioned margins, but the transition and the whipsaw on the EVs has created a tremendous amount of turmoil in the marketplace. It was supposed to scale very aggressively, and then, new administration came in and the industry's taken a U-turn. Now it creates opportunity on the used side for dealers, but they still have to get the new business over the line, and they have to do it and make money while they do that business. So there's other avenues to be able to bolster profitability. Some of those avenues is really the backs to the basics with F&I, insurance income on the warranty side of the business, lender income from your lenders. A lot of it needs to come from other areas of the business, and dealers are always looking to say, how can I squeeze another dime out of my operation, keep the efficiency, keep the performance of my dealership, but is there opportunities for me to get better economies of scale? And again, when we go back to that, it's a big issue for the dealers to be able to address, and we're trying to tackle that. I do want to say, though, affordability is at the forefront of every consumer's mind and every dealer's mind. How many vehicles are in the market today that are less than $30,000? Very few. It's probably 30 to 40% of the brands had vehicles in that price category 10 years ago.
That's right.
Only a handful of brands do today. So how do you address those customers? And then when they do get in the market, they're usually stretching every dime they have. They're taking longer terms, more exposure, more negative equity over the long haul as a result of that. But they need products still from the F&I side to give them assurance that they're not going to have problems, and they're going to be able to afford any disruptions in their ownership cycle.
That's right.
And so it's a very important part of peace of mind for customers.
How have the economics changed for franchise dealers and regional dealers over the past decade, and why are traditional solutions no longer working?
So obviously, inflation has an impact. Tariffs have an impact. Prices have raised across the board, not just for the consumers that are buying goods and services, groceries, other products, but also for the dealers. Basically, everything that the dealer consumes is more expensive today than it was in years gone by.
Right.
Also, all their supply base are increasing their prices. DMSs are increasing their prices on an annual basis. The software providers are. Advertising companies are increasing their prices. So again, it goes back to a pinch point for the dealers is profitability for themselves, but also the expense structure that they have, and how can they address that going forward.
Right.
And it's very difficult for the individual dealer to address that versus a large dealer group or a group that has scale and volume to be able to leverage in the marketplace.
That's right. Yeah. You talk about the unfair advantages that allow enterprise groups to dominate. Can you break down what those unfair advantages actually look like in practice? How does Autotrust level the playing field in tangible terms?
Well, we like to say that we're the Costco of the auto industry. And it's a very unique opportunity for us to leverage scale. Public dealer groups don't win because they have more talent or they're smarter than the individual dealer or the smaller dealer group or the franchise dealer. They win because they have more leverage in the marketplace, and that comes across every spectrum of their business. It could be from a lender standpoint. It could be from a F&I standpoint. And they're able to create more equity and more value in their dealerships because they have lower costs. Here's a quote that I have from Brian DeBeer, who's the president and CEO of Lithia. And I use this as a point of reference because this is exactly what we're trying to do with Autotrust. Mm-hmm. He says, typically the way that we get returns that we're expecting from acquisitions are they come automatically from scale synergies, lower interest rate costs, mm-hmm. better vendor contracts, and getting consolidation of vendors where you've got duplication. That's exactly
there you go.
Autotrust. Exactly.
Right.
It's exactly what we're trying to do.
That's right.
And we only get through that through the scale of hundreds of dealers coming together in a consortium. So a dealer-owned company where we can pass that value back to the dealers and we can leverage their collective scale to negotiate better value, better prices, and better opportunities.
That's right. That's right. Because we all know in a competitive market like we're in right now, and it's a race to the bottom once again, you're only going to be able to sell that product, that vehicle, at a certain price. It's where you guys come in is to say, we're going to allow you to run your dealerships less expensive and save on those costs to pick up that additional gross profit, correct?
Correct. Yeah. There's only so many ways to kind of skin a cat, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we've talked about front-end grosses dropping considerably, nearly $2,000 since the height of the industry chip shortage. And then if you look at F&I revenue, the per new vehicle profit on F&I has held fairly constant, even through the tumultuous times of the industry. It held around $1,800 to $2,000. So that's very consistent. And then there's other lender income that comes into the dealers. Other than that, there's not a lot of other opportunities for them, although there's going to be a lot of efficiencies through artificial intelligence, technology advancements that might reduce some of their headcount, but otherwise it's expense structure. Yeah. Expenses are the biggest thing. And how do I reduce my expense structure? And just a couple percent of reduction in expenses is a meaningful difference on the bottom line for the average dealer.
No question about it. You used the phrase collective purchasing power. What does that look like in practice for an individual dealer?
So for an individual dealer that joins Autotrust, and Autotrust again is a cooperative. Autotrust Dealer Alliance is 100% dealer owned. Okay. So the dealers own it. They have all the equity. What my company does and what I do is we help manage that company for dealers. Okay. What the collective experience is they simply bring their volume to the table. We bring opportunities for them to be able to have relationships in the market that they won't have today and new advantages in the market, incentives, kickbacks, or lower pricing that they can leverage in the marketplace. The dealers decide where they want to play and where they don't want to play. If we're negotiating for lifts in a dealership body shop, tool sets in the dealership body shop, computers, software products, advertising, and we take the dealer volume, we leverage that in the marketplace, we can bring better value, lower prices, and put more money in the dealer's pocket on a daily basis. That's what this business is all based on. How do we improve dealer margins, improve profitability, and most importantly, create a sustainable footprint for the dealers over the long haul?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So how's Autotrust fundamentally different from buying groups or dealer networks that already exist?
Well, that's a great question. We are much different in terms of our construct. First, again, it's not just about better margins. It's about full transparency. It's about profit distributions, and we take the profit that's generated and it's distributed back to the dealers. It's their money. We distribute it back to the dealers on a quarterly basis. More importantly, the dealers own this business. So they have 100% of the equity in this business. So
Okay.
any dollars that are generated through this business goes back to the dealers. They have a say in the business. They can help direct us. The chairman of the board is a dealer. We have advisory committees with dealers. We work for the dealers. We're at their disposal. And we want to help them grow this business, but they're going to help us direct the future.
Wow, it sounds very, very exciting. As a former dealer myself, I know that if we could just control the cost or bring the cost down in running the dealership operation, whether it be from insurances or service contracts or oil in the parts department, whatever it might be, that's where we could pick up that additional gross profit and or said net profit. But you've assembled a board that includes Richard Galanti from Costco, Jim English from Home Depot, Bob DiRomaldo from Borders. Why were these specific leaders chosen, and what do they bring to the table for Autotrust? Those are some very impressive names there.
Well, what's amazing about those individuals, it's not just their pedigree in the industry, but they're able to open doors for us that we wouldn't be able to open on our own.
Yeah.
It also gives us immediate credibility with the dealers. They're just so experienced. They're so diverse in terms of their background, and they run some of the largest and ran some of the largest companies in the world.
Yeah.
So Home Depot, Costco, Borders Books. The other thing is what attracted them to our business was the model. Mm-hmm. Our model is very similar to their model. It's all about scale, efficiency, and better value for their customers. At Costco, they even give distributed checks to their executive members at the end of every year. That's what we do as well, but we do it quarterly.
That's great.
So they like the model, they know it works, and they're very intrigued about how do we make it work for the auto industry and how do we bring better value for our dealers and more sustainability. And they're going to help open a lot of doors for us down the road when we get into procurement. We have three different verticals in our business. One is F&I, and we've partnered with Allstate Insurance for that. Mm-hmm. We're really excited about that brand. You don't go into the dealership and get excited about buying insurance or warranty products from Bob's Insurance. Right. You get excited when you walk in, and it's a brand you know and trust, like Allstate.
Yeah.
Second pillar is we're working with lenders. We're negotiating with big banks to bring better incentives, better terms and conditions, mm-hmm. better advances for our dealers. And the third piece is general procurement, and we're really excited, and that's where we're going to lean into these investors and advisors. Mm-hmm. They're going to help us in this front. How do we do better procurement? How do we get medical programs? How do we get 401k programs? How do we buy pharmaceutical programs that lower the cost for the average dealer and their employees? That's where this business gets really exciting, Jim. Yeah. When we get into all these opportunities of leveraging our scale in a greater way to create better value for our dealers.
That's fantastic. I'm just sitting here while you're rattling off each one of those departments and those areas of a financial statement, a dealer statement, I should say. If you could just save, I'm thinking if you could just save 1 or 2% even on each one of those elements, and it's probably more than that, at the end of the month, you've just picked up just a wealth of additional net profit, right?
Right. We're finding the average dealer that we're speaking to can save between or make incremental revenue and profit between $300,000 and $600,000 a year.
Wow.
That's a meaningful number.
Oh, there's no question
and
about
when
it.
you put that in your bottom line and you run it over a few years, it's considerable.
Yeah.
So we're excited. Again, it's simple. It's economies of scale and efficiency.
Yeah.
And that's what we're delivering for the dealers. And a better way to do business.
I would imagine as your network of dealers grows, and it will, especially with this kind of an approach here and this story that you're telling today to our dealer network and our viewers, which is very impressive, you're going to have the biggest providers out there knocking on your door to say, pick me, we'll do what we've got to do to lower our rates, to lower our costs to get into your network of dealers. Right?
It's an excellent point, Jim, and that's exactly what's happening. We're inundated right now with different vendors, different suppliers saying, how do we get into your small circle of approved vendors for your dealers?
Yeah.
How do we partner with you to grow our business and create more efficiencies and value for you and your dealers? That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
The business model is changing faster than the cars that we sell.
Yeah.
And that model for us will evolve quickly. And we're evolving to support the dealers. Our vision is to have over 1,000 dealers within the next 3 years on our platform. Yeah. And we feel confident we'll get there. And when we get 1,000 dealers in the marketplace, our voice will resonate. And once you have 1,000 dealers, there's no reason you can't get to 2,000. And with the support that we have
Yep.
with our advisors, people like, the past head of Costco, the past head of Home Depot, the past head of Borders Books, and one of the largest investment bankers in the world in the West Coast, we have an opportunity to leverage ourselves very aggressively to grow the business. Again, we work for the dealers.
Yeah.
This is a dealer-owned business. They own the business. We work for them. They get the benefits, the stock, the equity valuation, and everything will come to life for the dealers that join Autotrust.
It's a phenomenal idea. And I'm sitting here, obviously putting my dealer hat back on thinking, wow, where was something like this when I was a dealer? But what's exciting, you mentioned 1,000 dealers. When you get to 1,000 dealers, you realize you are then bringing the purchasing power of all 7 publicly traded companies together. You could imagine that, right? If you've got 1,000 dealers to sit down with vendors in the industry to go, here's our base, here's our, this is what you're talking about. You could have 1,000 rooftops. Now, what's the number that you're going to share with us and negotiate with us, right?
Right. It's exactly the point we're making. And that's a very astute observation. We will eventually be larger than the public dealer groups we compete against today.
That's right.
And we will not only have the advantages they have, but we'll have even more leverage in the marketplace to make a difference, to dictate our terms, our conditions, and be able to leverage the strength of our dealer body.
Yeah.
We're so excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, it really is. It's very, very exciting. I'm so glad that you took the time out of your schedule to share this story with our dealer community, because it's neat to be at the beginning of this. I'm sure we're going to sit down, again, and you'll be telling me, well, we just, tripled in size, and, the word got out, and now all of a sudden dealers want to know, how do we get in? And not just dealers, but also vendors, right? I mean, this is something that both parties are going to benefit from. So
yeah, we're growing fast. We're going to be at NADA. We're going to be walking the halls, meeting with dealers. We're excited about the growth.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Dave Mondragon, founder and CEO of Autotrust Dealer Alliance. Check these people out. They're making some big waves already out there in just a short time, just 100 days. But and also be sure to visit them, put them on your short list. Stop by, say hello to Dave while he's out there, while you're out there, I should say. He's at booth 6347 in the North Hall. So please, Dave, I can't wait to talk again with you at NADA. This is some really exciting stuff for dealers. So thank you so much for giving us the time today.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Happy New Year.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for watching this special edition of Driving Solutions exclusively on CBT News.